Suicide Squad. It's the hot new movie for normies. And what I thought might have been maybe a little more interesting than your typical superhero movie. Because it's a movie about supervillains trying to save the day. However, what they're saving the day from winds up being some completely generic threat that nobody cares about. Like a lot of things in the movie, it's barely explained. And that is kind of how the general movie comes off. We start off with character introductions. We get to meet the whole Suicide Squad and see some of their backstory, including some stuff about Harley Quinn and the Joker. The Joker, played now by Jared Leto, or Leto, whatever it is, looks horrible and is some tatted up piece of white trash. I went into it on the first night it became available for public viewing, Thursday night, early evening, with lower expectations than I originally would have walked in with, since I looked on Rotten Tomatoes and saw, 29%. But the thing is, like with Batman v Superman, I came in with low expectations and still somehow got disappointed. I was kind of digging it at first, because Will Smith's character was pretty interesting. Will Smith played Deadshot pretty decently, although unfortunately for Will Smith, it still doesn't get him very far since Will Smith never stars in good movies, for whatever reason. Everyone except the Boomerang guy, the guy who, well, that's a spoiler, never mind that. Everyone except for those two was at least somewhat interesting, although Killer Croc and Boomerang guy both could have been cut from the movie to give more character development to the others, since neither of them really got a lot of it. And that guy I mentioned a moment ago, he got even less. He got almost no character development whatsoever. And he too could have been cut from the movie, and the movie probably would have been a better movie for it. Everyone else was an interesting enough character, but there was nothing here that hasn't been seen before a million other places. And that's generally the biggest failure of this movie. The villain's plot is super generic. The character backstories, while some of them have interesting elements, are still quite generic. Overall, the movie just reeks of generic superhero bullcrap we've all seen a million times. No superhero movies should be being made that feel generic. Each one needs to be bringing something unique to the table to beat away the rest of the oversaturated market. I'm one of those many people who's very burned out on superhero movies, so if I'm not seeing anything unique in a superhero movie, which is the case in Suicide Squad, then I'm not having a very good time. Another thing I want to talk about here is the overall DC universe, and this contributes some of the problems of this movie. This movie suffers from the same extreme edge that plagued Man of Steel and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Both of those were terrible movies, and this is less bad than those two, but it's not great either. And it's not helped by the fact that it's keeping with this same super edgy DC cinematic universe that just needs to go away and get restarted. If I were them, I'd seriously consider cutting the losses and rebooting at Justice League. Which, according to a lot of fans, seems to maybe be a possibility to a degree, given that it has a much lighter tone. Or at least that's what people think based on the trailers. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to take a dump on Suicide Squad. So that edginess found in this cinematic universe that I was just talking about is basically just a trend of making everything a lot darker and taking that so far as to just make it feel uncomfortable. Tons of people dying all the time when it would do the job better if, a few people maybe get killed here and there, but not this mass murdering garbage that just feels like it's super try-hard and trying to be so dark. Heavy violence, a lot of sexual content, and these movies are all still rated PG-13, which is starting to piss me off because they're just trying to do that so kids can see these movies even though kids shouldn't be seeing these movies. Every movie from The Dark Knight until now, except maybe Man of Steel, should be rated R. Especially Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. DC, stop with the pretentious crap and let the movies get the R rating. Stop cutting away from the violence just soon enough to get that PG-13. Just let it take the R that you know that it should have. Now, it's not all bad. There's some good action in this movie. Some of the fights are pretty cool. Deadshot in general is pretty cool. but he only gets to fight a few times in the movie, really. There's just a lot of long exposition in between fights, and there's not that many fights, and the fights are kind of the highlight, if we're really being honest here. Now, sure, the story and the characters aren't bad, except maybe the crappy Joker, and definitely the main antagonists, who are not fleshed out at all. But the whole time you kind of just know what's going to happen, and nothing really feels original or unique. So seriously, I would just say don't waste your money on this movie. Wait for it to come out in a dollar theater or something like that. It's not worth seeing in the main theater, and it's really not a very good movie. It's an okay movie, but it isn't really a good movie either. Thing is, if it's just another okay superhero movie, there's really nothing to see here, so you might as well just move along and see something more unique and with higher artistic value. Overall, I would say this is not as bad of a movie as Batman v Superman or Man of Steel. However, it still can't really climb above a mediocre rating. I'd give it about a 6 out of 10. There's some good action, there's some pretty girls, some decent character moments, and the story's not completely awful, and that's about it. Alright, so before you come at me with pitchforks, because I know some of you are going to, listen, I can't make these videos perfect, okay? I just work with the time I've got. If you want to debate a little bit in the comments, go for it, but please keep it civil. However, if you agree with me, maybe give it a like and check out some of my other stuff. And if you made it to the end of the video, as usual, thank you for watching or listening. And you can also check out this social media crap.